Australian yachting event organisers use either the IRC or AMS system for handicapping and races. In order to rate a vessel, a number of measurements are taken, and an important one is the weight of the boat. In mid-September, a boat weighing day was conducted in Melbourne at SYC by two registered measurement auditors, Peter Coleman and Lover Pascoe. Around 40 vessels from clubs around the bay turned up to be assessed, with 3 Melbourne to Osaka entries amongst them. Early in the day, a large crane capable of lifting over 50 tonnes was set up, and the official weighing device, which sends data to a handheld receiver, was attached to the cable along with a pair of slings. To meet the auditor's requirements, everything needs to be removed from the boat, and so around the marina, the entire contents of boats were spread out along the fingers.
Just play.
Skippers had been allocated a time that they could expect to be lifted. So one by one, calls went out when it was time to move.
We're just lifting the first one now. Then we're going to do antagonist, dark and stormy, then you're next, so stand by.
By the time Jazz Player was called, things down at the lifting area had settled into a bit of a rhythm. After being manoeuvred into position, ropes were dropped under the hull. Then the slings were pulled through. After attaching the heavier lifting apparatus, it was a matter of making sure that everything looked good for a balanced lift. And then it was up and out of the water. For the Jazz Player crew, it was an interesting day, as the recent refit of the boat meant that finally they'd know how good their calculation during the work had been.
You've weighed individual parts, have you, when you put the boat back together?
We did, yeah. We're pretty meticulous with what we weighed when she came out.
So what happens if the official weighings are more than what you've estimated?
I think the bulb might go on a bit of a diet.
Before the boats left their pens to head up for the lift, a final inspection of the now empty boat needed to be made, just to make sure things were exactly as the auditors needed them to be.
Now, what have you got in the way of fuel and water on board?
No water.
No water?
Pumped out the tanks.
And fuel?
So 200 litres, a third of that.
You've got no ballast on this boat, so that's easy. Heads are dry, bilges are dry, tanks are checked. Clothing, bedding, all dry, no extra clothing on board, cushions are dry, all your storages are checked. You've got no life rafts or dinghy on board, it's pretty easy. So there we go.
With the inspection of Meltimi now signed off, the call went out to head up to the lifting area. The weather was treating everyone pretty well, and so it wasn't too hard to land and set up for the lift. Skipper Ian was pretty sure he knew how much his boat was going to weigh.
My guess, just under 9 tonne. We'll put money on it, all right?
As Meltimi came out of the water, below the crane, the data came in. And if you take into account the weight of the lifting gear, it looks like Ian should have put money on his estimate. In order for the auditors to calculate an accurate weight, certain items of safety gear that had been removed for the lift were also weighed separately. Lord Jiminy had also lined up to be lifted and weighed. Skipper Chris Barlow bought the Open 40 from France last year and has recently put her back in the water after having new livery added. With slings in place, it was time to go. As quickly as boats were pulled away from the lifting zone, others lined up in their place. The results of the well-organised morning will ensure that those responsible for applying the handicaps will have accurate information to apply to both local events as well as their international Melbourne to Osaka race in 2018.